There we go. Okay, we can see your screen, but you're on mute at the moment, guys.
Are we on mute? Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Thank you.
Hear me? All right, now I need this screen. Yep. Well, apparently this with my sound, but it says our internet is unstable. Anyway, back here I am. Right, so now the army, and I was 16 and a half. Basically, I became an electronics engineer, but I was really diving as an adventure sport. Adventure sport took me all around the place. I was very much into expedition, on expeditions and running the expedition. Ended up being a dive supervisor for the world. And you can see that there with me in the diving gear, suit I made myself. There I was actually in Malta. In Malta, we went to Gozo, and in Gozo, I actually hit 50 meters in those days. So that was in about 75. And obviously, you can see there in the background, I'm in the military. There we go. All right. So now you might think that's now a typical cartoon of a technical diver, but that picture, strangely enough, that was in a magazine 47 years ago. Actually, this magazine. Right, and at those times, they were talking about the diving that we'd have in the future. They were talking about 2001, how we'd be diving in 2001. It's the time in 2001 Space Odyssey.
Loud.
Right, okay. So that was 52 years ago. It's exciting times. But the funny thing is that has never changed. Diving now is still as exciting. And technical diving, I feel, you can never find the end of that. And diving in general will take you to anywhere that you want to go. So bearing this picture in mind, that's me in Bushman's on what I call the 9/11 circuit. And the reason why that is because when the towers came down on 9/11, we were laying their 60 and 80 meter circuits at Bushman's. Now, if you look at me there, I look very similar to that little cartoon. So I've got propulsion vehicles, I've got computers, I'm wearing a rebreather. And back in those days, in 73, when that magazine came out, they were talking about in the future, we will have a black box. And that black box will allow us to know our depth and our time and how long it's going to take us to get to the surface. And there'll be life support and there'll be propulsion. And that's exactly what we got there. So again, this is actually last year. This is in Haresib in Namibia. So this is the sunfish, and this is a full-blown computer that is actually a robot that is actually able to explore in its own right. And here I was just minding the robot, but it was actually doing its own thing. So in there, in Dragons, we got 205 meters with this robot, and in Haresib, 265 meters, where no man has been. So coming back to started diving in the early 90s when it was just really starting. So there is me on a tech dive boat in 96. This was HMS Pheasant. I was diving to 86 meter days, which was incredibly deep. Yeah, the first on military technical expedition. If you look at that gear, interesting, 300 bar steels on the back, 232 steels on the side, actually breathing surface O2. And really tech diving is a tool. So with the tools that we've got, and especially the tools we've got now, really you can do whatever you want to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be deep. It can be just as you want it to be. Exciting, exciting stuff. So I'm talking about the big five. I've talked about the big five. Now, the big five animals are the most difficult animals to hunt on foot. But really, the talk I'm doing here is a fraction of a part of a talk that I do is the big five caves. Now, the big five caves, this one is actually Haresib, and the light on the background there is just from the sun. And the lit up underwater by lights, obviously. So, big five, I'm going to talk about Komati. the other caves there, Shanoi in Zimbabwe, and the caves in Namibia, which I already mentioned, and obviously Bushmans. So why do I call them Big Five? Right, so they are really all linked by the same thing. They're all deep, they're all altitude, they're all remote. The logistics to get there is quite difficult. Access sometimes is difficult either for physical reasons or political ones. So that is the link of all the Big Five. So Komati Springs, one of the Big Five. This is our logo. And the logo there, you see the sun. We're in Mpumalanga, the land of the rising sun. These mountains, this is exactly like the site is here. You see the puddle, which is our site itself, the bubbles for divers, the cave arrow for caving, the frogs for frogmen, and for all the animals that are around us. So this is our mountains. Now these mountains are literally the oldest mountains in the world, 3.6 billion years old. Right? So being here is like being back in time. This whole area is a World Heritage Site, and this is really old Africa in every sense of the word. You can hear lions roaring, you can hear elephants calling down the valley, jackal. Literally a few minutes ago, we were listening to hippo in the dam. No light pollution, it's just a beautiful place just to be, not alone the diving we can actually do here. So the little red mark there is where Komati Springs is, but this is Pangaea, 3.6 billion years ago, right? We first came out of the ground in 3.6, but this is 3 billion years ago as it was. This all broke up about 1 billion years ago, and Africa didn't really move, and the rest of the world just spun away. Came back together a couple of times, but we know what it looks like now, but that's how it was. So that nice mountain that you see there is a Komatiite. This is the iconic view that you come to as you come over the mountains into the Komati Valley to us. And this volcanic pipe was actually 700 degrees hotter when it came out of the ground. Really, really beautiful landscape. So again, there we are. We say we're remote, but for South Africans, it's not really that remote. Just about everyone lives in Johannesburg, so it's only 3 hours away. And we are 915 meters above sea level. And you have to go up to basically twice that to get out of the valley, 1,800 meters. So that makes us remote in terms of going, if there's a problem, to actually get out of the valley. So Komati Springs, we had 2 lions wandering around just the last 2 days ago within our ground itself. Now they're out, so it's safe for you to come. But you see that sign as you enter the gates into Komati Springs. So you're actually traveling through the reserve to get into us. So now, going back to those attributes, the 5 things that make the Big Five, we've actually tamed most of it. So now we've still got the depth, we've still got the altitude, we're still relatively remote, but all the logistics problems and actually getting here is all solved. So we've tamed the lion. That's what I call this place in part of the Big Five animals. So this, you see the Komatiite there. This is Komati Springs. So the site itself, as it is now, there's me walking to the water. Now we're diving and in the cave itself. This is the first level of cave. You see how clear that is. The third level of the cave, that's 36 meters. Now we're coming up to the shafts that go down. Looking down now, you're looking down to 100 meters. Now you're swimming along the corridors. There's some small spaces and some very big spaces. One of the doorways, there's 3 doorways that most people would see. Very pretty. A little bit of silt. There's the ladders. Those ladders go all the way from the surface effectively down to the bottom. Bottom being at 110. And this is what you see as you come out. So you're now coming out of the cave into the open hole. There we go. Now that video sequence was shot by one of the guys that's making the videos for us on one of the Bushman's documentaries. Okay, so this is Komati Springs as it looks first thing in the morning. And that's exactly how it looks right now. The water is still warm, so we're looking about 17, 18 degrees at the moment. Air outside is actually much cooler, so you get this almost steam coming off the water. It's a little bit like going back in time. The ibis sit on the cliff, and when they take off, they circle around in this mist, and it's like something from Jurassic Park, like pterodactyls flying around. Such a, it takes your breath away, sun coming over the mountain there. So there's Komati Springs from a high height on a drone. Incredibly special place. 24 years ago, my first visit, August, and what I did is I went to the bottom, 50 meters, side to side, top to bottom. I could see the whole site, and I fell in love with the place then, and really I've been here ever since. At that time, there was nothing here. And then, obviously, I've put in all the compressors and brought it up to one of the prime tech facilities. But it's not just for technical diving. It does have the reputation of being a tech facility, but doesn't mean to say that it's not there for recreational diving. You can do anything that you'd want to do here. So, it's really there for anyone. Now, as far as things go, there are various grids in the water. This one is what we call a suck and see platform. It's actually on the stairs. We put it in to literally put people into the water for the first time, never having done a dive at all, and show them what the site looks like. You see there the visibility. Our visibility is like that most of the time, so yeah, it's pretty. So now what do we have? We've got grids at 5, 10, 30 meters. There's also buoys that are floating out there with lines on and things. So there's decompression stations and things like that. So let's wander into the cave. So you saw that on the video just now. This is one of the smaller passages at 36 meters. On the roof, you can't see it in this shot, but on the roof there's normally bubbles, so you can actually look at that roof and it's like a mirror reflecting off the ceiling. Absolutely lovely. You do see the silt there down the bottom. Obviously the finning you've got to go well. Cave entrance you've already seen. Now the cave entrance, depending on the time of year, this one slightly green. We do go green in the high summer, because in the high summer we're 26 degrees in the open, and that's like getting into a bath. When we're at depth, we are at the extreme depths you're looking at about 16 degrees when you're in the 110 meter zone, but in the open hole you're going to keep the temperature down to about 15 meters before it starts to get any cooler. But we're always warmer than any other inland site in the country. And we never, ever get cooler than about 15 degrees, 16 degrees. So now, obviously, the open hole, there are stairs down to the water, 44 stairs down to the water. Here you can see, obviously, some recreational guys going diving. Now, as I said before, this place is really for anyone. And you can choose any form of diving that you might want to do here. So it's ideal for deep diving, or any thing you consider would be deep for any level that you actually want to do. There's sheer sides, so your buoyancy control is very good. You can do navigation and things like that. And we do have fish, mainly bass, but there are a few barbel. Night dives here. You should at night, especially if there's a full moon, is actually seeing the moon reflecting water. It's that clear. So that works very nicely. And obviously with diving, you want to do rests and things like that can be done here. We've got gear that you can borrow if you want to. The only thing you literally can't do here is drift diving. So anything else is for you. Obviously, we've got a lot of gear here. This is available if you come. So we can rent out cylinders, any form of cylinders, basically. You will always see lots of rebreathers floating around. We don't generally hire those out, though. But you will see normally 2 or 3 different types of rebreathers here once you're on site. So obviously there's stages as well. So ideal if you can't travel with your cylinders, if you're flying up, we've got them for you. And if you're a school, we've got them you can hire from us as well if you want them for your customers. So all that's available. And obviously there's gas. We can pump any gas that you want. We can go up to 200 bars on O2. I've got several different Haskells, as well as backup compressors and things like that. So we're never ever out of gas. We're never out of oxygen. We're never out of helium. So as I say, you will see rebreathers here of all different types. I've got 7 different types of machine here, and there's always other machines popping along. Classroom. So that is available if you book it, and I'm not teaching at a time. Even then, we can still double tap. So this is the campsite. As I said before, this is old Africa. So you can wander around quite happily anywhere on the site. The only place we say is just stay away from our house, but it's peaceful and tranquil. Really, really such a nice place to come. And we don't generally get large crowds here. And especially now in COVID times, we try and limit the numbers, or we've really only just opened up actually. We are remote. We do have a chamber on site, but really this chamber is actually at the moment only for private use because we don't have a doctor on site and it's not fully recognized. But we do have all the equipment you might need if there is a problem, and we're very used to dealing with any form of problem that might pop up. So if someone has a recompression problem here or a decompression problem, then what we do, if they are trained, if I've trained them, then we do in-water recompression, where we're using oxygen to basically to 9 meters with full face masks and things like that. So a protocol that we put in place primarily for here and for our expeditions where we are very remote. So coming back to Komati, this is Komati Springs as it was back in the day. When I first came here, this is what I saw. Now the in water is still exactly the same, but the outside has changed considerably. This was a mine. So this was the tailings as it was left all those years ago. Very, very ugly site. And really, we were only using a quarter of the site that was actually there. Then in 2001, there was a rehabilitation. That rehabilitation cost 6.8 million rand. We were shut for a year while it was done. Everything was widened and really made the site pristine. So this is the site now as it looks. So all of the trees have grown back. All of that embankment is actually covered up. So it's looking very nice. And as far as the hole itself goes, it's never changed over time, the hole itself. It was mined and then they blew the mine down. And this is the hole that they made when they took all the minerals out. So there is a deeper part, depending on the water level, which is 55 meters deep, or at the moment about 52, and it contours up. So you've got some very sheer walls, and you do have a sloping sides that go down, and the walls undercut, and there are little caves and things like that around the side. So if you're diving and you're not going into the cave and just want to look around, there's some very nice spots to see. And as I say, you can see forever. So you can see down and you can see up. And it's a very pretty place to actually dive just in the open. I never even tire of actually diving around the open, but obviously my thing is the caves itself. So there's the caves. You can see the open hole on the side on the right-hand side there. And there are various levels. So there's a 9 meter, which is quite a small level. And then you've got the main 18 meter level, the 26, the 36, the 48, the 68, 110, and then incline shaft, which goes all the way down to 186. So I know this cave inside out and back to front, and I've been everywhere in it. So I think the easiest way to describe the cave is to actually take you on a little dive, right? So about 10 years ago, I was playing, and we had a part of the cave which I've always called the torture chamber. And the reason I called it the torture chamber is there were bars coming out, and there was like shutters that came down, and it looked like an Iron Maiden. So I always said to Andre, you know, there's a torture chamber. I've not been down there, and it's the one place that I'd actually like to look at. And Andre said, you're not going down there, because if you're going to call it the torture chamber, you're not going. So this was Easter, and I called it the Fluffy Bunny because it was Easter. And Andre said, okay, you can have a look. So I actually went in and went through the torture chamber and found that it opened up. And so the next dive after that, I actually went all the way down, found out exactly where it got out, and then I put together what's called the super circuit. Now, the super circuit started off going in what I call the tunnel of love. Now, this is where the miners would walk down. If you look at the map on the side there, you can see a little dot, and that is the start of me walking down. Then you go through the Helter Skelter. Now, the Helter Skelter has got tight little restrictions, and it's where the miners would walk. So here I'm going down, I've got the rebreather on my back and 2 cylinders on the side. And to get down, you bring the cylinders around and you push them in front of you and go down the Helter Skelter, which literally twists, which is where it gets its name from. So you're going down the Helter Skelter, and that one comes out at the 68 meter level. So now at 68 meter level, we swim along. This is one of the pretty levels. You can do a 45-minute dive in that level and not repeat yourself, really. So swim along there, go to the what was the Fluffy Bunny, which had now become the Bunny Run. So that started at 68 and it came out at 110. So at 110, it actually met the shaft that went down to the 186. Now I turn along that and swim along the 110 meter corridor. You swim there for 3 minutes before you get to the shaft itself to come up. That corridor itself is actually a 20-minute swim from one end to the other. So it's quite a corridor. So the whole trip from the surface to the point now where I could go up was basically 15 minutes to get from the surface to that point to then come up. So now I'm coming up the shaft and back up to the 68 meter level. Still coming up the shaft here, obviously having to stop as deco required. And then back along that 68 meter level, up through the jungle gym and through all the other 2 levels. That's the 36 meter level there, and then coming up back out to the surface. So the whole dive there was about a 3-hour dive through the main cave. So very pretty little super circuit all the way down. So let's go back in time a little bit more. This is one of the very early dives, or it's in the early 2000s. So you can see there our team, Dave Shaw, there's Dushan there, and Mark. This was one of the early dives where we were actually playing in the caves and doing basically 150 meter exploration. It was actually a forerunner of the way that we actually ended up diving Bushman's itself. We had basically a rolling teams that would actually support each other as we went through. At that dive, we had somewhere in the region of 25 cylinders in the water, and we were just playing. The guy kneeling on the ground there, Glenn, he actually later on went and dived in Chinoy and did over 200 meters in Chinoy. And that was embassy to embassy, because obviously Chinoy is a little bit difficult because of the situation over there. The last time I went there was actually in '99, where we got 142 and found out which way the cave actually went. So that was one of the early trips. You can see there the site clean in the background. So that would have been just after the 2001 rehab. Right, so just going back to that early picture, remember that sketch 47 years ago that was in the magazine? So you look there and you can see the camera on the head and all the rest of it, and the propulsion gear. Now, if you go to Dave in 2005, when Dave went down at Bushman's, there's so much similarity between that sketch and Dave going down there. Now, remember, this was in the days before GoPro. GoPro really only came out as a digital camera about 2 years after, and we had iPods, just iPods, just coming out in those days. So let's move on. Right, so what else do we have here at Komati? Obviously, we can do rope work and things like that, because we've got mountains. So this is actually teaching rope work, going over the edge, literally in my back garden. You can see the house in the background there with the solar panels that you can see just in between the two of us. So yeah, we do that sort of work here primarily because some of the places we go, we need the cave work. So this is Komati Springs shaft itself. Remember, it was a cave, so all of the ore was actually brought up this shaft. So what we've got is a 20-meter shaft straight down to water, and we can actually rig that out in various ways for rope work. So fun stuff. And now going to one of the big five again. If you look up in Harrisib, this is the crack that you see at the top. Now, if you look up in that top corner there, you see a little dot, right? So on that dot, that's actually someone coming over the edge to dive Harrisib. And if you're actually sat there or on the rope up there, this is the view you'd get looking down. Now, it's those hats there are about 80 meters down, the little white dots just here. Right? So those are people down the bottom. And yeah, then you basically climb it all the way down there. So that's Harrisib. And you saw the picture of that earlier on. So 265 meters cave, which no one's ever seen 265 in, right? And this is Dragons. So Dragons 205 meters. Here you come through the roof on that top end just there. And this is what the site looks like. Crystal clear water. Both those sites are crystal clear. So, oops, gone forward. There we go. Going back down. So there we are. That's the other one of the big five. So there we are. That's Komati Springs and a few other caves. So there we are. So now over to you for questions. Hello.
We've lost you.
Don, thank you very much. That was incredible. Guys, if you'd like to pop some questions in, or if you've got any longer questions, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask Don those questions. The questions you've had so far have been answered on the chat, Don.
Unmuted. Yeah. Hi, Karen.
Hey, Tom, how's it?
Fine. Don, it's amazing what you have done with that place. I dived that place when it was just bush. I don't even remember if there were toilets. In 1994, it must have been 1994, with a guy by the name of Chris Velmuth from Delta Diving that used to be opposite Sunnyside in Pretoria. And strangely enough, I've never been back.
We'd come back. Yeah, those were really the dark. There was a long drop.
Yes, that is it.
That was about the extent of it.
But oh, that was a lifetime ago. Somewhere I've still got a piece of green asbestos that I got out of the entrance of the shaft at 18 meters.
Yeah.
Not supposed to take
There's quite a lot
memorabilia.
of relics around. Yeah.
I must
Should
hunt
come
it
back.
out.
Thanks,
Will
Tom.
do. Thanks, Karen.
Okay, from Giannis to everyone. How's it, Don? What is the fatality rate at Komati Springs to the best of your knowledge?
I'd have to count it up. There were 3 before I got here. 3 guys died in the cave, uncave trained, before my time. They all went in. There was an instructor and 3 DMs, 2 DMs on that, and they went in the daytime, and then they went in at the night time, and they didn't come out. So that was the before then, and since then, probably 4, 5, about 5 people. Various reasons, from recreational to technical. It's just statistics that there are that many, but we do have a few bend problems, maybe 1 a year, and we deal with those quite happily. I think that answers the question.
Right, sorry, I'm just letting more people in. People keep dropping off. I see your bandwidth is a bit low at the moment as well. Anybody else got any questions you'd like to ask?
Hi, Kerry, it's Anthony here.
Hi, how's it? Go ahead.
Yeah, lekker. Have you got this presentation? I see you're recording it. Will you make that available for us?
I will do, yes. I saw you came in quite late. Definitely will.
Yeah,
make
sorry.
it.
Yeah, sorry. I just got caught up at work.
100%. Do you have any questions for Don?
Don, it's good seeing you. You're looking well. You're looking well, Squire. I haven't seen you in many years. It's been a long time. I used to be with Dive Tech many years ago.
Sure.
And that was the last time I saw you. But you're looking well, man. You're looking well. And congratulations. Looks like you're making one hell of a success there. Well done, man.
Yeah, we really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Yeah. I was chatting to Andy earlier, and I'm 63 now, and still diving about 200 hours a year, or 200 dives actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely put in an effort to come and see you when I'm down in South Africa again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, thank you very much. And then from Buddy Scuba,
Yeah.
Great presentation. Thanks, Don. Hilary, can we explore the game area as we dive, as well as dive? Sorry.
Very much so on our side, only within our park, which is 350 hectares. So you're more than welcome to go around and look at what we've got on this side, which I can't tell you what's there because it jumps in and out. So we actually, as I said, we had 2 lions the other day, but they're not normally in. And the site is beautiful. We went for a walk yesterday across 4 mountains within our land, looking at the most amazing views. And we can point you in the right direction. Yeah. So we are open officially for game drives and game walks.
Awesome. Henderson B. Don, when were you last at the bottom of the incline shaft?
Oh, that was I've only been there the once. Yeah, so that was I don't even know the date. Probably 2003, or early 2004. Yeah. So at that time we didn't know how deep it was. Strangely enough, I'm not about deep diving. I'm just about exploring where I can go. We basically were playing, and we knew it wasn't 150. All the maps that I had of the mine, we do have maps, that they stopped at 150. So we just found that it was beyond 150 and just explored. So that was a game that Dave and I played back in the day.
Excellent. From Oliver Stutz. Hey, Don, could you tell us more about the 186 meter and how you guys got there?
Yeah, okay. Well, Dave and I played. So we called it Batman and Robin. So one day Dave would be Batman and I'd be Robin, and another day it'd be the other way around. So one of us supported the other, and we'd meet in different places in the cave, all marked, all where we wanted to meet. We were just going all effectively solo, but sort of mutually supporting. So basically, we had a week's, and we gradually pushed it further down. And Dave was the first to reach the 180, and then the next, I was Batman, and I first, and I got to 180. But that's where it bottomed out. And that was the end of it, 186. But that was an interesting itself, because actually found the limits of the machine. So, and as I got to the 186, and I heard this pop, pop before it. It's basically when you get so deep that something implodes. You feel the pop. It's not actually a hearing. And I looked at all my gear and everything was all right. I was expecting Dave to come down beside me, and he didn't. So I turned and went back up. There was a little bit of silt, and Dave had moved off, and he was at 140. So that was where our first stop was, deep stop on the old VR3s. So we stopped there, and Dave showed me that he had a problem and he had to reset all his computers, and we could hear noise in the background. So the machine died at 90 meters, and then he went semi-closed to the surface. So we found then that the machine should really only go to about 160, but it's been modified since. I knew they'll dive 200 easily now. So that was actually quite a fun thing. The next day, it's a little bit of a story, sorry, but it's worth telling. The next day, when I had a day off, and then Dave dived to 140. We're trying to open the door on the other side, one of the doors in the shaft. And Dave picked up a little bend on that one. We did in-water recompression at the end of that. This is before we had a course. This is one of the things I was saying, we need to have a course for this, and we used the Australian method, which was my favorite at the time. And then, Dave was on O2 after that. We were talking to Dan, and we went to the hospital the next day. And the young guy in the hospital there said, "Oh, what were you doing?" So we were diving, and it was the end of a series of dives. And then he said, "Well, how deep did you go?" And Dave said, I can't remember the numbers exactly now, but he said, "Oh, we did 100, 150, 180, 186, and then 140. And the guy said, "What, feet?" And we said, "No, meters." And that was in the week. Those were the days.
And then a question from Obert, which I'm going to answer. Yes, they do still have horses on site. Awesome horses.
Yes, yeah.
And then a couple of thank yous. And then Ronel Human, you're still young. Russ, to everyone also interested in the max depth and what's there, and total dive duration, including deco. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. I suppose it's how long you're down there for.
Yeah, the max depth 186, depending obviously on water level. 7 hours, 20 minutes for the whole dive. Yes, longish dive.
And then what accommodation options do you have, Jaco and Marnay?
Yeah, we've got camping with ablution facilities. Very nice campsite. Obviously, bring your own tent. And we've got the dive centre, which has got 4 rooms. And those rooms, one is a double room en suite, one's a double room which you have shared bathroom, and then 2 rooms with 2 beds, each room with 2 beds. So booking's essential.
Right, Don, you're breaking up quite badly over there. The rest are just thank yous from lots of different people. I'm sure Andre is busy monitoring them. I'm not going to go through everything. Sorry, I'm just skimming it. In terms of mining gear, what was found down there, and what is still there?
Really, they stripped the mine as they stopped using it. So most of the mine machinery was taken out. There is some debris in the second level, and there's little bits of stuff in the 68-meter level. Mainly it's the ladders and stairways that are still there. And in that incline shaft that's at the 100 meters going down, there's actually strange beams that actually go crossways instead of down. They're not rail lines. And there's a few rail lines here and there that have got mangled up as the mining was actually going on, where basically they blew the outside area and then they took it out through the shaft. So some of it trapped some of the gear that was there. So there's not really a lot in there. You'd think that these caves were actually natural. They feel so natural, very much like Peacock in America. That sort of feel about it, flat. You only realise it's a mine when you see a wall or you see a number written on the side. Obviously, no stalactites.
No stalactites or stalagmites. Lovely.
Yeah.
Just lots and lots of thank you. I see Andre has been monitoring it. Don, thank you so much for the talk. It was great. And it was an absolute privilege having you chatting to us. Thank you for that. Just to everybody, next week we're going to have a very interesting lady coming to chat to us. She's a freediving lady who's got quite a reputation. Keep your eyes open for the advertising. And just once again, Don, thank you. Awesome having you.
Well, thanks to everyone for listening.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, lots of thank yous coming in. Cheers.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Sure. Thanks, Karen.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Don.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Don. Bye.
Thanks, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye, Debs.
Hi.
Bye.
I've just came from work, so I only caught the end.
Lots
I did.
Some of us have to work.
Yeah.
I hear you've had lions in. How exciting.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
quite glad I wasn't out for a walk, mind.
Yeah. Well, they were on their honeymoon.
You see, I always miss the good stuff.
There was 98
Well-
people on there, Don. Well done. We can only take
Well-
100, so phew.
Thanks, Don.
No more camping for me, Don.
Leo.
Leo.
Leo, your rebreather's waiting.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks,
It was
Andre,
awesome.
thanks.
Thank you. It was amazing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello, Zach. Is Kat there? Hello, Kat.
Did you like your pictures, Zach?
I unfortunately missed the beginning because I was putting the little boy to sleep. So I'll try catch it later.
Yeah, I don't know if we can show you the picture now.
Yeah.
It was that. Can we show that?
I will be sending the links through so you can put that onto your webpage as well, Andre.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you.
Right, thanks.
That sounds amazing. Thank you so much, guys. It was awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm looking forward to the next. Bye.
Good. Thanks, Chanel.
Thank
Yeah, I'm
you.
gonna switch off.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, Don.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
You're amazing. Thank you, guys.
Bye.